YouTube, on Facebook, on Barça TV Plus, and we're going to bring you all of the information of this upcoming game, just 24 hours away from the return game against Manchester United at Old Trafford. The playoffs in the Europa League, Spencer Siegel, 2-2 in the first leg, all to play for.
Wow, this is going to be fun. I'm ready for it. I know that we had a tough week leading up to this, trying to think through all the different scenarios without Pedri, without Xavi. How are Barça going to do this? And yet, once that ball kicks at 9 o'clock local time, or actually it'll be 8 o'clock local time, in Manchester, we are all going to be glued to our screens.
We will indeed. We're going to bring you the latest information, and things are happening in Manchester, so let's go there. Bruno Ballester, give us the latest news.
Hello guys, well here we are in this really small press room at Old Trafford with many cameras, many journalists today, and high expectations for this Champions League clash. I mean, it's a Europa League clash, but everyone here at the city thinks that it's a game between two giants. FC Barcelona has landed this midday in Manchester. They have rest in the hotel, and now they will be coming here to the stadium of Old Trafford for this last training session. Before, at 7:15 local time in Barcelona, the press conference of Jules Kounde, followed by Xavi Hernandez, and at 8 o'clock local time there in Barcelona, these final preparations, this final training session before this big game between Manchester United and FC Barcelona. Barça, as you know, with the injuries of Pedri and Dembélé, two important absences, and also Xavi, who is out suspended. The good news is that Busquets is back in the squad list. For Man United, they have recovered Lisandro, also Anthony Maguire after their injuries, and also Savitzer, who was out suspended for that clash. Varane today has been the one talking to the media with Ten Hag in the morning, and they also trained there in Carrington. So these are the latest news from both Barça and Man United. And yeah, we are here minutes away for this press conference of Jules Kounde and Xavi Hernandez with really high expectations.
Right, thank you, Bruno. We'll be talking to you later during the training session. Bruno, who will be closely following these press conferences of Jules Kounde and Xavi Hernandez. That'll be in about 10 minutes, Spence, which gives us a little bit of time to break down all the previous information, to speculate a little bit who might be playing in those Pedri and Xavi roles. But the first things first, Barça travelled this morning to Manchester United. All of the available players, of course that doesn't include Pedri, Xavi and Ousmane Dembélé, all looking very smart, looking for a result that will put us through to the round of 16 of the Europa League.
Yeah, everybody does look pretty sharp going into this. I mean, you have to have a little bit of flair once you land in the UK, right?
Exactly,
I mean, they do tend to know how to dress over there, I'd have to say. And yeah, look at Kessié. That's nice. Actually, everybody kind of looks like their own version of Sherlock Holmes, it feels like.
All looking very dapper. The team landed, as Bruno said, in midday, with President Joan Laporta also joining the expedition that travelled to Manchester. Looking for a result that we've already had in Old Trafford. We've won there in the past. We're looking maybe for a clean sheet, which we haven't had in Europe so far this season. Looking for a strong performance tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we talk about all the different things that need to happen for Barça to advance, but because of the result that we saw on Thursday, it becomes very simple. Just win. You just have to win. You got to get in and out of Manchester with a win. However you need to do that, whatever means you need to go through to make that happen. You know who you have available. You know who's not available. This is going to be a decision for Xavi as you get a look at the squad list right there. Those are your players. That is who Xavi has to choose from. And let's see if he can put together the right 11 and further after that.
As we said, and we'll say again, notable absences. Xavi suspended. Pedri and Ousmane Dembélé are injured, but that is the squad list that Xavi has picked to travel to Manchester, including Ronald Araujo, obviously the return of Sergio Busquets, Robert Lewandowski looking for his first ever goal at a club level at Old Trafford, Ansu Fati looking to be relevant, Ferran Torres coming off of a great performance against Cádiz, Marcos Alonso scored in the first leg. Let's see if he starts or if it's Andres Christensen, or there'll also be a battle at left back between Jordi Alba and Balde. Completing that squad list, Kessié, Sergi Roberto, Frankie de Jong, Rafinha, Kounde and Eric, Iñaki Peña, and Barça B players Marc Casado, Pablo Torre and Arnau Tenas.
Yeah, the thing that I see from that list right there is that there are enough players recently who have made their presence felt with a wonderful performance, whoever that may be. We saw Ferran do it not too long ago. I think that Marcos Alonso proved that he can be a part of the 11 when Xavi calls upon him. We know what Christensen and Kounde and Araujo are capable of along the back line. This is a strong team, a deep team, and now it's about picking those 11 players that we need.
Also with the Pedri injury, Sergio Roberto came on and had some impactful minutes, played well against Manchester United and even better against Cadiz, so opening up his options to be in the lineup tomorrow. We'll speculate a little bit in just a second, but let's just refresh our memories and go and see what happened just a week ago at the Spotify Camp Nou against Manchester United. It's a game in which there were two teams looking to have control of the ball, and what happens sometimes is that it then becomes a back and forth game.
Yeah, this game was not short on moments, that's for sure. It was back and forth the entire time, and there were I would say for both fan bases, there were moments, nervy moments that had people catching their breath trying to figure out exactly what to make of these situations. You see a couple of those moments in the first half for United when Marcus Rashford was getting through it, but it wouldn't be a game right now without saying a big stay for Ter Stegen. Pedri has to come off, so you're now reliant upon everybody else to step up. Marcos Alonso scores an incredible goal, an emotional goal, and Barça are off and running.
But then Manchester United come up in just a matter of minutes with a good reaction. Marcus Rashford, who's been on a roll since coming back from the World Cup, beats Ter Stegen at the near post there and then just runs past Rafinha to put the ball into the box, and unfortunately for Barca it went off of Kounde. So we had to see then how Barca were going to react, and the reaction was good, Spence.
Yeah, it's been I would say a European week of comebacks, especially given what we saw yesterday as well. There's a lot of comebacks happening, and in this case, it's Barca making their presence felt with a Rafinha cross. We all thought in here that it was Lewandowski who got attached to it, but everybody was thrown off, including De Gea.
Barca could have had a penalty call there. Possible handball inside the box, and a bit of misfortune as the ball went off of the post in that instance there. Could have been an own goal and a good opportunity for Ansu Fati. Denied by De Gea. Ansu came on and had a couple of opportunities as well. Yeah,
he's another player as we continue to speculate whether or not Xavi decides to go after him on during tomorrow's game to see if he can be one of those players that Xavi calls upon. There are so many options, and everybody seems to be hitting their stride at the right moment, and now they're going to have to go do it on the road. That's the difficult part.
Right, let's take a look at what the lineup was last week, and then we'll ask the question of what do you think it might be tomorrow. So if we can take a look at the lineup from last week against Manchester United at the Spotify Camp Nou, that included Ter Stegen in goal. The change between Kounde and Araujo, with Araujo starting at right back and then Kounde as the centre-back position, pairing with Marcos Alonso and Jordi Alba on the left back. We had Frenkie, Pedri, Kessié and Gavi in midfield, with Gavi kind of tending towards the left wing, and then Rafinha as a more traditional right winger, and Lewandowski up front. Obviously, we won't have the same lineup tomorrow because we have those two notable absences. So let's ask the question: who is going to fill the spots of Pedri and Gavi tomorrow against Manchester United? Pedri out injured, Gavi out suspended. Who should it be? Live chat. We're going to read your comments as well. Spencer, give me your take.
Yeah, I think it's the first thing that we need to do, and again, Xavi's going to know this better than we are, but we're here to speculate. That's what we're going to do, and I think the first thing you need to do is make sure that right-hand side, or I should say the right-hand side of the Barca defense is covered. So I think Kounde going back to the right-back position and having Araujo man the center with Christensen is the way to go. I think that's going to create less confusion once you win the ball back. Rashford was everywhere on the pitch. He wasn't just on that side. So it's going to take a team effort to find him.
Spence, another question. We've got it on our screens right now, and I want the fans to answer on our live chat as well. What do you prefer for tomorrow's lineup? The four midfielders, which would more than likely be Busquets, De Jong, Kessié and Sergi Roberto. Three forwards, which would include Rafinha, Lewandowski, presumably, and then either Ferran or Ansu, or a 4-2-3-1 in which we play, for example, De Jong and Kessié, or with De Jong and Busquets in midfield, and then you play Rafinha, Ferran, Ansu, Lewandowski. I'd say that's the least likely option.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one more out there that I think is a possibility, which is putting Balde and Jordi Alba in defense to make sure that you lock up that clean sheet. I'm not saying it's the best option, but we have these three. I think it's worth throwing one more out there because you have to make sure that United, I mean, it's a difficult task, but you've got to make sure that you lock it up defensively because Rashford snuck through twice last Thursday. If you keep him contained, everybody else will follow suit. And Barca can then get out on the attack with the attacking players that they have, which they have plenty of them.
We'll talk about Rashford a little bit later. Just a few answers from some people on the live chat. Alina says Pablo Torre. Bad says Sergi Roberto. Linux says Ansu Fati. Paulo Cesar says Ferran. Dev says Busi and Ferran. DTN YouTube says Torre and Busquets. Lots of fans of Pablo Torre. Aymar, obviously not been watching lately, says, no Pedri. What? Pedri got injured against Manchester United in the first leg. Will be out for at least a month. Arnav says Ferran and Roberto. Mahmoud says Fati and Busquets. And lots of people going with the option number 2, Spence, which includes 3 forwards. I think I prefer that option as well. The more traditional 4-3-3, 3 in midfield. Let's say... since Busquets didn't play at the weekend, concerned a little bit still about how fit he is to play the 90 minutes. So maybe we play with De Jong, Kessié and Sergi Roberto. And then up front you've got Rafinha, Lewandowski and Ferran, who played very well on Saturday. And then you've got the extra midfielder on the bench just in case you need him. Because if you start with the 4 midfielders on the bench, it's one option less you have.
Yeah, if you're starting 4 midfielders, then there's really nowhere to go from there in terms of a substitution. I just think regardless of what ends up being the selection, this game is going to be a lot more cagey than what we saw on Thursday. The game on Thursday was go out, get as many goals as you can, run up and down the pitch, find the spaces, don't worry about getting, the defenders will sprint back in position if we need to. I just think the emphasis for both teams tomorrow is going to be on putting up a clean sheet first and making sure that this game is under control the way we want it to be under control.
Definitely be our priority tomorrow to try and keep a clean sheet, as we did the last time we were in Old Trafford back in 2019. Ter Stegen knows what it is to keep a clean sheet this season and at Old Trafford back in 2019. Spence, let's take a look at the stats of our alternatives for Pedri and Gavi tomorrow. We'll have to do it quickly because we're just a couple of minutes away from the press conference. But let's take a look, for example. First one, Ferran Torres, who played very well on Saturday. Ferran, between the game against Manchester United last week and the game against Cadiz, played 97 minutes. He created 4 shots, 1 of them on target, created 6 chances for his teammates. One of the things that I like most is that he had 10 successful dribbles against Cadiz and won 19 of his duels. So a very intense performance by Ferran and a very precise performance.
Really, really simple explanation for Ferran. No goals, no assists against Cadiz. He won our man of the match here in the studios because of what he was able to do. And the reason he was able to do that was very simple. Everybody backed away when he had the ball on the wing. Everybody on Barça backed away. He was given all kinds of space to then operate within that space, weave around defenders, which he did, utilize those successful dribbles, and then pick out the right pass.
Another option for tomorrow's lineup, Ansu Fati. Ferran was probably better against Cadiz than against Manchester United. I think that Ansu was better in the minutes he had against Manchester United, in those moments of desperation for Barca, than against Cadiz, where we saw him a little bit more frustrated. But Ansu played a total of 109 minutes between the 2 games. He had 5 shots, 1 of them on target, the one we saw saved by De Gea against Man U. Created 2 chances for the team, won 4 dribbles, won 6 duels, had 66 touches between the 2 games. And Ansu has a knack for coming up big in big moments, so let's not discard him for tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think you just said it. Him coming off the bench has been the most successful tool this season to get the most out of him. When you start him, it has been a little bit more difficult to get him going. But coming off the bench, like he did in the first game against United, he provides that spark. He's a little bit quicker and faster than everybody else on the pitch because he's a little bit fresher. I like that idea.
The other player who has emerged as an alternative as well is in midfield, Sergi Roberto, who came on for Pedri the other day against Manchester United after the Pedri injury, and he's had 2 solid performances. Played 139 minutes, scored a goal, the opener against Cádiz, 3 total shots, 2 of them on target. I remember the other one saved by Conan Ledesma. He created 2 chances for the team. One was the assist he made to Robert Lewandowski after an impressive run. 119 touches, 10 recoveries, 7 won duels. I think Sergi Roberto gets a lot of criticism, maybe sometimes for his role as right back, and we tend to forget that he's always been a solid midfielder.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the criticism because he's a very solid player. And solid players don't come around all the time. And I know that there's, you're looking for the flash at times, the flash of Pedri, the flash of Gavi. I get that. But sometimes, especially in a game like tomorrow, when you do need it to be a little bit more cagey, a solid player isn't a bad thing.
Right, let's head over to the press room at Old Trafford and listen to Jules Kounde.
Recordeu un nom i mitjà. Gràcies. Comencem. Sí.
Bueno, ¿qué tal? El partido es complicado, es un estadio difícil contra un rival.
The game is going to be played at a difficult stadium against an in-form opponent. Do you consider yourself favorites?
Por todo esto, ¿qué papel le ves haciendo al Barça mañana aquí en este estadio tan complicado?
Buenas. Creo que tenemos que dar un paso más de lo que hemos hecho en el
I think we need to go one step further from what we did in the Spotify Camp Nou.
partido. Tenemos que
We watched the game back.
Creo que va a ser muy importante hacer bien la presión. Creo que
We need to apply the press better,
recuperar el balón,
the high press, and recover possession
hacerle daño porque creo que
and hurt them
estamos bien, nos van a dar cosas.
on the counter-attack.
Bueno, seguro es un rival grande,
They're a great opponent.
histórico.
They're a historic side,
Y creo que
and I can't wait.
tenemos todo en el equipo para ganar.
We have everything it takes to win the game.
De Barça se habla mucho de los ataques de los dos equipos, de las estrellas que hay delante, pero ¿qué importancia va a tener también mañana el duelo entre defensas? United con Varane, igual con Lisandro que vuelve después de sanción, también está De Gea y Ter Stegen en eso de la portería. ¿Qué importancia va a
Will this be a battle of the defensive
Para mí la defensa
sides?
en nuestra temporada y en general defender bien ha sido clave. Nos han dado
Yeah, defending well has been a key to our success this season.
otro reto grande contra una delantera.
It's another big challenge ahead of us.
Tenemos sí que dar ese paso más.
We need to give,
de todo.
again, that step forward.
La temporada el equipo está respondiendo bien
But so far this season, the team has been responding well.
en todos y bueno,
We
va
trust in all defenders,
a hacerlo muy bien.
and we'll need to do our very best.
Hablas de subir la intensidad, de subir también la intensidad sobre todo en la presión.
You talk about increasing the intensity.
El otro día vimos a Araujo jugando el lateral derecho.
Araujo played at right back the other day.
A la posición que ocupa cada uno para poder frenar ofensivamente el poder del United y más en un escenario como
How do you plan to stop United's offensive power?
Esa de Ronaldo o la mía, bueno, la va a decidir el entrenador, ¿no?
The coach is going to decide where each of us plays.
Es un trabajo colectivo, no
It's a collective effort.
y los cuatro defensas,
The 4 defenders and the goalkeeper.
todo el mundo está defendiendo. Sí,
We all attack and we all defend as a team.
nos sigue todavía a analizar más en profundidad el partido, pero
We've analyzed in detail the first leg.
su trabajo,
Each of us need to do and execute our job
mañana vamos a
the best way possible. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll see the best Barça.
Cuando jugáis en Europa, ¿sentís más presión de lo habitual?
Do you feel more pressure when playing in the European tournaments?
Bueno, creo que sí, la presión hay.
I think
Porque son partidos
there's an added pressure, sure.
más importantes, pero son.
It's an important game,
Es una presión creo que nos gusta.
but we like and accept this pressure.
De jugar esos partidos, los partidos.
We want to play these big games.
Es una presión cierta, pero creo que no es
It's a pressure, yes, but not a negative pressure.
negativa y
It's a pressure that motivates us
ganas de dar más
and
y bueno,
stimulates us to
tenemos que dar todo.
give more, give our best,
Estoy seguro y
I'm sure,
mucha confianza en el equipo.
and have trust in the team that they will do that, that we will do that tomorrow.
Quería preguntar por la importancia de los primeros minutos.
Talk to me about the importance of the initial minutes of the game. The first minutes in English stadiums are always key.
Que va a apretar.
Yes, we expect
Por eso tenemos
that the fans will play an important factor.
muy enchufados
They're always
con la máxima.
hugely engaged with maximum intensity.
Muy ganador de duelo, muy potente, rápido.
We know that they are a potent
Que meternos a la
and strong rival.
los primeros minutos
The first minutes
son importantes,
are always important.
pero
Not definitive, though.
tener esa confianza.
We need to have this trust that we will start the game well. Do you think this team is lacking in experience in these big games? In this case, against Manchester United, in order to compete for titles. Do you think you're lacking in experience? I don't know. I think
Quizás en alguna
that perhaps
situación
in some situations
para manejar el partido
that might be true
sí que
when managing
como en la segunda parte
situations of the game, like
a veces
the second half
no
of the other game
en las 20 primeros minutos
in the first
de la segunda parte.
in the first 20 minutes of the second half. The game was a back and forth affair.
No es algo que queremos.
And that's not what we want.
Nosotros queremos tener el
We want to have control of the game.
sentido puede ser
And in that sense, it's true that maybe sometimes
no respetamos todo
we don't
el
respect
plan de partido, no
the game plan,
de año, pero por ganas.
not because we're lacking in,
Gana y que
not because we're lacking in excitement, but it's experience. We need to learn from this and take a step forward.
mañana tenemos
Tomorrow we play against a great opponent, and we have another opportunity to show our growth on the European stage.
creo que el equipo está muy motivado.
I think the team is very motivated. You weren't here during the tough nights for Barça on the European stage. But would it be a blow of authority for Barça to win tomorrow?
Esa sensación de dar un golpe sobre
I don't have this sensation that we need to prove ourselves in that regard. We want to go to the next stage. It's a big challenge.
equipo grande,
We play against a big team with great players
también histórico.
in a great stadium, a historic one.
Nada más que eso, queremos ganar para
And that's it. We want to win in order to go to the next phase to accomplish our objective and win the Europa League.
Eric Ten Hag felt that you should have been sent off in the first leg for the challenge on Marcus Rashford when he was going through on goal. What was your view of the challenge, and do you in any way feel lucky to be able to play tomorrow and not suspended for the game?
I think it was 50-50. There is a contact, but I think it's very light, and the referee decided to not give me a red card. So I don't feel lucky. I feel it's part of a decision of the referee. It's true that I think I could have been sent off because it was 50-50, but the referee made the decision, and obviously I'm very happy.
Yeah. Simon Peach from PA. Just following on from that, what have you made of the development of Marcus Rashford and Manchester United? You were part of the Sevilla side that knocked him out a few years ago. Are you impressed by the way they've come on with Eric Ten Hag?
Yeah, for sure. It's a very different team. I think they improved a lot. They have a very organized team, very strong in the duels, and obviously they have a heavy power in the front line. So yeah, it's it's a very different team from the team I played in Sevilla. They're doing a great job also in the league. So it's a very competitive team, and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a great battle.
Hi Jules, another question in English for you. Nice and easy. You've had the chance to play against Marcus Rashford a couple of times now. You're quite physical, very quick yourselves. How do you find it coming up against a player like Marcus Rashford, and how difficult is it to try and contain him, whether he be through the middle as a number 9 or coming from the left if you're at right back? How difficult is it to contain a player like him?
I think he's a very versatile player. He can do a lot of things on the pitch. Obviously, he's very fast, so it makes it very difficult. And also great at reading space, great in the area to define action. So it's always challenging to play against this type of player. But very excited. Obviously, that's why we play. And but it's also a collective. I think he has a great team, great teammates around him. So it's our mission to make it difficult for his teammate to find him.
And if I may,
Just one question, sorry. Gracias. Buena tarde, thank you.
Right, so those were the words of Jules Kounde talking to the press before heading towards the training session. We will be hearing from our head coach, Xavi Hernandez, in just a minute. These things tend to go quickly. Kounde leaves and Xavi will make an appearance in just a second. Any thoughts, Spence, on what Kounde just said?
Every time I listen to him talk, I can't help but be amazed at his poise for as young as a player as he is, and every time he goes out there to play, his play reflects that too. I'm always just amazed. He's always got a very light, level head on him, and I think that shows. And he's ready for tomorrow. And like he said about the challenge, it was 50-50, and I'm happy I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, talking about that play that Erik ten Hag complained about last week, Kounde being the last man. It was questionable.
He was complaining about a lot of stuff.
But yeah, ultimately Kounde will be available tomorrow. Let's hear now from head coach Xavi Hernandez.
Bona tarda, good afternoon. Benvinguts a la roda de premsa del tècnic del Futbol Club Barcelona, Xavi Hernandez. Comencem el micròfon. Està aquí. Comença així, Bruno. Sí, tu mateix.
Xavi, què tal? Home, 2-2 de nada. Tot sembla molt igualat, però demà què esperes de l'equip i on poden...
What do you expect from tomorrow's game?
Bé, demà en primer lloc és un partit molt difícil.
Tomorrow's a difficult game. Manchester United are one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. They're showing their quality, their competitiveness through great results. They're the best United I've seen since the last few years. Great coach, Ten Hag. Great players who show a lot of personality, a lot of passion. And we need to match this. We need to have this mentality. We need to have this passion to win the game. We know it's going to be difficult. It's a difficult stage with great fans. We need to show our personality through our style of play and match their intensity. We need to have the mentality to win this game on the European stage. They're competing now in the Premier League. So it's the best stage for us to show that we can also win against one of the best sides in Europe. Ya no escucho nada.
Sí, ho tinc decidit, els jugadors no ho saben.
I haven't decided yet who will play or who won't. the idea stays the same. We want to attack the spaces, stick to our position, attack the spaces generated. Our style doesn't change. So we'll need to compete and to show that Barça can compete in Europe, and that's it. Not a lot is going to vary. The midfielders, we want to make sure don't lose a lot of the ball. So it'll depend. Jesus. It'll depend on the game. What will be needed.
Amb les baixes de Gavi i Pedri, com ho ha de fer l'equip perquè aquestes baixes, les característiques que tenen aquests dos jugadors que són tan influents, doncs no es notin? Què ha de multiplicar l'equip amb les peces que s'hi donen?
Bé, jo també destacaria la baixa d'Ousmane, que per nosaltres és...
Yeah, Ousmane is not available for us, and that's massive. He's a player, he's a difference maker.
És una baixa important també la d'Ousmane, no?
So we lose an important player, Pedri as well. He's a reference point for us out on the pitch. He never loses the ball. Gavi is passion, intensity, which is what we needed tomorrow. So it's sensitive losses or players out. We need to make sure that the players substituting them match that intensity. We'll see tomorrow what the options are, but we'll try to make sure that the absences will be the least amount felt.
¿Pero quién? Araujo.
Y también cuando avanza con la pelota, con la pelota. ¿Qué tuviste que hablar vos en todo eso?
Bueno, primero he intentado que se atreva, no es su principal cualidad.
We want to make sure that he's brave tomorrow. When you don't dominate a situation, when you show signs of doubt, what I prefer is that he fails but continues to try.
Pues ya estamos jugando a campo contrario, nos cambia
I want to make sure
nuestra idea de juego,
that we play in the opponent's half. When you see Ronald Araujo give the passes he gives now, he's improved a lot. He's got a lot of confidence. He's strong. He's noticing his improvement, and he's capable of it. He's got the capacity to do so. What? I don't know.
Hola.
El teu plan de partit passa per guanyar als 90 minuts o quan tu dissenyes una perspectiva global del partit tens en compte que no val el valor doble i a l'hora de reservar-te alguna arma ofensiva o no valores el possible efecte d'algú que surti des de la banqueta? Ho tens al cap o només et centres en 90 minuts?
No, bé, al final tots els escenaris són possibles. Podem anar a una pròrroga, podem jugar-nos...
All the possible outcomes are options. We can go to extra time, we can go to penalties, we can take care of the game in 90 minutes. We haven't practiced any scenario in particular. We just focused on our game, our attack, our defense, try to play in the opponent's half, make sure they're not comfortable.
In the Camp Nou,
we used all five senses. We're seeing a Barça as more self-assured. We'll see tomorrow if we've changed it or not. We want to change the situation. We can't change that we're in the Europa League. We've possibly been drawn the most difficult opponent in the Europa League. Here we are. We competed at home against the United that is in their best phase of the season. Need to compete tomorrow, but we can't already start claiming that we're back or that we're more self-assured. We need to prove this tomorrow on the pitch. Es que no digo nada.
La situación por el equipo que es, por el estadio, ¿es también la oportunidad del Barça para demostrar que ha vuelto en Europa?
Es una oportunidad muy buena, sí.
It's a good opportunity. Tomorrow is a test. Each game for Barça is a test. But the fact that it's in Europe against a big opponent that is in their best moment, it's a good opportunity for us. We're also in a good moment with a lot of confidence. We're league leaders in the domestic league. We've won the Spanish Super Cup, but tomorrow's another test in a difficult competition, and we need to show that we're up to the task.
No, les dues. La intensitat en el joc, els duels.
No, we need to show intensity in our game, win the duels, fight the opponent's goal, show them that we're here. That's the mentality. We need to play without any self-complexes. We need to understand that we're in good form and compete.
Bueno, el Sergi pot jugar a diferents llocs.
Sergi can play in different places. He's an alternative for me and a guarantee that for that matter. He always plays well, wherever he plays. He can play on the flank, he can play in the midfield, he can play as a attacking midfielder, as a defender, so yeah, he'll be important for sure. The president said that the main objective is winning La Liga.
No, yo no puedo tirar nada.
I can't throw anything away. I want to compete for everything. We're Barça. We're here to win titles. This year we have 4 trophies up for grabs, and 1 is in the bag. And tomorrow's the second. And if we lose it, it'll be a big disappointment. We're still very far away from the semi-final or final, but it's an important exam for us. If we lose, it'll be a title lost and a disappointment. La Liga will give us strength and qualify us for the Champions League, but we want to win this competition. In Manchester, in the press conference, they've been speaking about controlling emotions. Yeah. The pressure, what I tell my players, is on me. Tomorrow, everybody would love to be a football player to play these games here at Old Trafford. Even if it's Europa League, it motivates any player. I want them to be calm and control their emotions. That's something basic for us. I'm sure you know that Manchester United is up for sale. How would you feel if another Qatari would buy a club? It's law of economics, supply-demand. I have a good relationship with this person interested in buying the club. He's a serious person, and I'm sure he would do a good job. Looking at Marcus Rashford's form this season, do you have a special plan to stop Rashford? He's an exceptional football player. He's in great form, scoring goals. He's a difference maker for United. But that's it. We're going to try to do the same thing we do every game, defensively speaking, and show our personality. But he's a football player that we need to keep an wanted on. But the United as a unit is more important for me. I wanted to ask you about Robert Lewandowski. A lot's been said about him. Are you concerned about his current form? Well, strikers, forwards always need to score. He's used to going through these kind of situations. We have full trust in him, the way he works, the way he applies the high press, interprets our philosophy. He gives assists. We saw against Villarreal the way he links up with players like Pedri. Is important for the team. He's a key football player for us. He's made the difference for us and the club in general. Last time Barça played in England, in Anfield, the stage seemed to have been too big for this team. We hope it won't have that happen tomorrow. We're here, we're excited, we're in good form, despite the fact that we have a lot of players, important players missing, but that's not an excuse. We're out to give our best version of ourselves. This is the best United that I've seen in years. We know it's going to be complicated, but we think we have what it takes to advance to the next stage.
No, perfect.
Two big players for Manchester United have been part of the resurgence. Two players you know very well, Casemiro and Varane. How important can they be in a game like this for Manchester United, and what sort of impact do you think they can have over the game that makes it more difficult for Barcelona to win this game?
Yes, both. I would say that both are really important for the team, not only as a players, also as the mentality that we are talking about it, no? Mentality, passion, rhythm. They are used to play this kind of game, so it's very important for United that they could sign Casemiro, for example. No, they are making with Varane, with this kind of players with experience, they are making the difference also in the team.
Hola Xavi, aquí
Hola.
de la cadena COPE. Ha salido un nombre que hace días que no hablamos de él, que es el de Leo Messi, porque estuvo en Barcelona.
Messi's name has been coming out in the press lately. The club has admitted that there has been a meeting with Messi's dad about a possible tribute. Have you spoken to him about it? What's your relationship with him? I've got nothing to add. I've said repeatedly that this is Leo's home. The doors are open. That's all I can say. He's my friend. We're in permanent contact with the president. We talk about a lot of things. A lot will depend on him, what he wants for himself in the future, whether he's the right fit, but he knows that this is his home. There's no doubt about it. Is Messi the right fit right now? He's the best player in the world and of the history, so he's always the right fit. You've played against United as a player in the past.
Difícil, no tinc molts records bons amb el United.
I've got good memories of playing against United, the finals, also during the phase of Scholes, Beckham, Neville. Scholes was a reference point of mine, one of the best midfielders of the history of this game. Underrated. Paul Scholes, that is.
Tota aquesta polèmica amb Enrique Negreira, va dir que li va entrar la risa.
things have been said about the Negreira case by Rummenigge.
A nivell europeu. No sé si tu que has viscut aquest any l'entrenament de Milà i l'altre dia al Camp Nou amb el United, que van haver unes mans claríssimes que no es van jugar com a penal, si també t'entra la risa.
No, jo tot el respecte cap a Rummenigge i totes les opinions són respectables.
I respect all opinions, also that of Rummenigge. I've never felt that I've been benefited by a referee, not in Spain and not in Europe. I've never felt that we won titles because of the refereeing decisions.
Can I just ask you, what is it about the Sheikh that makes you think he'd be a good owner, and how do you know him so well?
Sorry, can you repeat? But the Sheikh?
Yeah, why do you think he'd be a good owner of Man United?
Yeah.
And how do you know him so well?
Yes, I know him so well. I think it's a very good person with responsibility, serious. I think would be very good option for United.
And how do you know him so well?
Oh, because I work in Qatar for 6 years.
So,
Yeah, I know that.
here, please, micro. You. The micro is here. Yes. Last question.
Hola Xavi,
Hola.
Hablando muy bien de Pep Guardiola, como siempre, dijiste que es un genio. ¿Hay una posibilidad de encontrarlo mañana, primero del partido, que vuelve de Lipsia? ¿Hay esa posibilidad o no?
Pues no he hablado con él esta semana.
I haven't spoken to him this week. I've been in contact with him. I have a great relationship. We might. Tomorrow we have a lot of work to do. But we'll see each other another moment.
Thank you. Gracias.
Well, if anyone was wondering, there'll be no meeting between former teammates and former coach and player Xavi Hernandez and Pep Guardiola, both of them being in Manchester. That was the last question that Xavi got in that press conference. A lot to say, Xavi. Mainly that the team needs to compete and equal the competitive level that Manchester United showed at the Spotify Camp Nou.
Yeah, and also the fact that he knows that this is the type of team that does take things one game at a time, just the way that Erik ten Hag said the same thing, and that both of these teams are focused on tomorrow, and they also have a lot more going for them outside of this game tomorrow as well. So there's a lot of different areas in which you need to focus, and you have to hone that focus for tomorrow and make sure that that's your main objective.
Xavi did say he's looking forward to a game with fewer transitions in which Barca can control a bit more and they can be a bit more assertive both on and off the ball, intense on and off the ball. When you have the ball, go forward, try and create your opportunities. Off the ball, try and win your duels.
Yeah, and fewer transitions is what leads me to believe that tomorrow we're going to see a cagier affair, which is okay. It might not be the most entertaining football, but at the end, when you have to get wins, these are the types of sort of dirty, grinded out games that you got to go get.
We'll see what we see tomorrow. What we do know from what Xavi said is that there is no special plan to stop Marcus Rashford. Would you have been in favour of a special plan to stop Rashford?
Wasn't last week a special plan? Would you call it a special plan?
Worked in the first half. Barely saw him in the first half.
You've got Araujo on the right, Kounde is in the middle. That to me, that's a special plan because special would be defined as something that you don't normally do,
yeah.
and that was what we saw, and it worked a little bit, but it didn't affect the final outcome of the game, I don't think.
I was looking today at the participation of Marcus Rashford, comparing first half and second half, and he clearly starts to drift more towards the right, the middle and the right in the second half, which is where those goals came from.
Yeah, the special plan would be make sure that at all times somebody is calling out where he is on the pitch and that somebody is marking him.
Special plan could also be make sure that at all time Barca has the ball and then Marcus Rashford is a non-factor.
That works too, yeah.
Right, we've heard from Kounde, we've heard from Xavi. Let's hear from Erik ten Hag, who spoke earlier on to the media in Manchester.
Yeah, so I don't know what Xavi is thinking, but there's obviously Xavi, Pedri, big, great players. Although they are very young, they already have a positive effect on the game of Barcelona. But also their squad is so much depth in it that they have players who can replace them, and tomorrow will be a very good team for Barcelona. So if we want to win, we have to play our best. Yeah, but we do different. That is, you'll see tomorrow on the pitch, and then you see it. We have an idea, of course, but of course we can't tell that now.
Erik ten Hag has an idea, but he doesn't want to give us any clues as to what we might see tomorrow. The team trained earlier on at their sporting complex in Manchester. We've talked about how Barca will be missing players tomorrow compared to the first leg, Pedri and Gavi namely, also Ousmane Dembélé. Ten Hag recovers players. He said earlier on in the press conference that Harry Maguire and Antony will be available, that they're not 100% in playing rhythm, but that they will be available. And also Ten Hag gets back Lisandro and Sabitzer, who are out for the first leg due to suspension. Still out are Martial, Eriksen and Van de Beek.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of that Sabitzer Lisandro matchup, or I should say a sneak peek of it this weekend against Leicester. The two of them had opportunities to play, and Lisandro almost scored. He had a shot that went just wide of the goal from a distance. So there are added threats for sure when you talk about those four players specifically. Sabitzer being one of them. I think Antony can make an impact off the bench the way that Ansu can make an impact off the bench. I don't know that he's going to start, but there's options.
Also at the weekend they recovered one of their important players in midfield, being McTominay. He came back against Leicester during the weekend as well. So Ten Hag will have more weapons compared to the game at the Spotify Camp Nou. Regarding Manchester United, what, Spencer, do you think is the lesson that needs to be learned?
Well, I think that this team, United, is very methodical in the way that they build up. They don't, unless you're caught out by Rashford, if you are set, it's not easy. Nothing's easy against a team like this, but it's more manageable to stay in front of the ball and make sure that you don't allow anything behind you. Because there are really, in my opinion, with this team, there are two things that can, at any moment in time throughout the 90 minutes, come back to hurt you. And that's Rashford in space with speed, or Bruno Fernandes with more than 3 seconds to pick out a pass.
Yeah.
If you can cover up those two things, then the rest should be able to take care of itself. Obviously, that's a lot easier said than done.
I'd also add in the likes of Casemiro and Fred frustrating our players, that being one of the tactics, not let our players get sucked into that either, with all the emotions. I think tomorrow will be a game with an incredible atmosphere. The fans will be behind Manchester United. And Barca need to abstract themselves a little bit from that and just try and focus on their idea, on their game, not get caught up too much in the emotions in the moment.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. I don't know. Maybe you know what we're expecting tomorrow, because we always talk about the away fans in these games.
I was told close to 3,000 Barca fans will be there tomorrow.
Good, because when we play games here, right, anywhere in Spain, the away fans are tucked away in the corner, right? But in all of the grounds at England, they've got about 25% or so of the stadium, and they're top to bottom from the first row all the way up, and they can make an impact and make a difference. They can be loud. So that needs to be something tomorrow that Barca lean on, because it's going to be the first of 3 consecutive games on the road for them, and this is obviously the most important one right now.
Right, we're going to be showing you the training session, the first 15 minutes of the training session, preparing for this clash tomorrow at Old Trafford. We'll be going there as soon as it starts. Want to get a bit optimistic. We have visited, Spence, Old Trafford 5 times in the past. Just 1 win. Also 2 draws, which would mean extra time tomorrow.
Yep. With
the away goal rule gone.
Thankfully.
We had 2 defeats. One in 2008 in the semi-finals of the Champions League, and one was back in 1984. So let's take a look at the images of those positive results that we got. Try to get into a bit of a positive mode. The last time we visited Old Trafford was 2019. Marcus Rashford was in the lineup for United that day. Barca won 1-0. It was an own goal by a player who's still at United as well, who played in the first leg, and that was Luke Shaw. I was surprised to see that because we always talked about, since the final in Berlin, Barca still have so many players in the squad. How many players from the squad that travelled to Old Trafford do you think still remain in the first team right now, Spence?
From the squad that travelled?
2019.
2019.
4 years ago. How many players?
I would,
I guess.
Yeah, I would say my number's going to be 6.
Off by 1. It's 5. It's Busquets, Alba, Stegen, Sergio Roberto, and Dembélé. Let's go back a bit further. This was a spectacular Manchester United that ended up winning the Champions League. This is the group stage back in 1998. United took a 2-0 lead, but Barca came back, and it was a 3-all thriller with goals by Sonny Anderson, Giovanni, and our former coach and player, of course, Luis Enrique. 3-all would be a great outcome tomorrow. There's a fantastic free kick by David Beckham.
My goodness.
Obviously, 3-all would send us into overtime.
Yeah, I don't think 3-all is coming. I really don't. I think that we got the 2-2 last Thursday. This would be a shock for sure.
We had a 2-2 also back in 1994 in the early rounds of that Champions League. The goalkeeper for Barca that day was the father of Sergio Busquets, Carlos Busquets. And scorers for Barca were Romario through the legs of Peter Schmeichel, the father of current goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel, and Jose Mari Vaquero scored for Barca, a fantastic goal there. Then Manchester United equalised, and Spence, this was the first leg of a round which ended in a 4-0 win for Barca at the Spotify Camp Nou, one of the best European nights for Barca.
Well, hopefully they can replicate something along those lines, but doing it on the road tomorrow. There's enough firepower for both teams on the pitch that we can look back in 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, and go, this is going to be one of those. I know it's not the Champions League, but we've all said it does feel like that kind of game, and I think either team that advances from this round will have a really good chance to make a run all the way to the final.
I'm not going to give you my prediction today. I'm saving it for tomorrow because it's a bit of a wacky one, and it has reasoning behind it as well. But I do want to ask our fans on the live chat, what is your prediction for tomorrow, a score? What do you think the score will be tomorrow? Spence, do you want to save yours for tomorrow?
I've got it in my head, but I think I'm going to hold on to it.
Does it include an extra time?
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
No.
Okay, we've had enough of those this season.
We've played too much extra time.
And definitely not penalties. Live chat, let us know. What is your score prediction for tomorrow? Do you think Barca is going to win? Do you think it's going to be a cagey affair, or that it's going to be a back and forth game with lots of goals? I'm going to be reading some of your comments. Right, Hamza says 1-0 to Barca. DTNYT says 1-0 Barca. Lost Soul says 2-0 win. Replica Pro says 3-0 to Barca as well. Lapis 2-1. Shuban Pahade 3-1. Optimism. I like the optimism of our fans. In spite of the absences, reminder again of Pedri and Dembélé due to injury. I read a comment not long ago saying, I just tuned in, is Dembélé available for tomorrow? No, Dembélé is not available. Pedri is not available. And Xavi is suspended because he saw a yellow card at the Spotify Camp Nou, and he had that warning. He was 1 yellow card away from suspension.
Yeah, it was a real shame when he picked that up.
But I like the optimism. I do like the optimism of the fans here. So I'm going for a 3-0 Barca win. Replica Pro, I think I read that one before. So, I think the team has definitely given the fans a reason to be positive. Now we need to prove it on the big stage, at a big stadium like Old Trafford against one of the most informed teams of Europe like Manchester United.
And that's exactly the point. I think when we went through this last year, Barca's opponents were not at this level. But
Barca wasn't at the level that Barca is now.
No, but the fan base had the same expectations of winning as they do now. And in facing Napoli, who weren't the same Napoli that are playing this year in the Champions League, Galatasaray, and then Frankfurt, I think people got content.
Yeah.
And they took those opponents for granted, and the third time around, Barca got burned. Nobody's taking United for granted.
No,
here.
we're not taking anything for granted. The players have stepped onto the pitch of Old Trafford, and over there is Bruno Ballester. Bruno, what's your take for tomorrow's game?
Well, guys, I really see a really equal game tomorrow as the one that we experienced at the Spotify Camp Nou. Players are now here in this really historic stadium. It's a beautiful ground, Old Trafford, with the curiosity that the tunnel is there in the left corner, the entrance to the field. And you can smell it, that tomorrow is a big European night. Also, I saw Xavi Hernandez today in the press room, like really focused on the game, not joking like all the times or in all the previews of the games. All the players are really concerned about the importance of tomorrow's game, and as also Xavi has been mentioning, it's a big test to show that Barça are back again in Europe, because yes, in the league you are at the top with a gap of 8 points, showing incredible performances, but it's time now to Barça to shine again in Europe. And although it's a Europa League game, the feeling is that this is a kind of a Champions League clash and an historic game between Manchester and Barça.
Players have started warming up. We'll be offering you the images of this of these first 15 minutes of the training session, preparing for this vital clash tomorrow at Old Trafford. Bruno, I did want to ask you a question, because we kind of lost the sound of the press conference for a bit there, and it was the second question. I think they asked him about what Xavi's idea is for tomorrow in terms of the formation, the 4 midfielders, or going with 3 up front. Did he give any clues? I got a sense that he didn't, but we kind of lost the sound there for a bit, so if you can clarify that for us.
He didn't. He said that he has a clear idea. He knows what he's going to do, how he's going to play it, that the players, they don't know yet who's going to play and who's not.
Interesting.
But that he has the idea clear himself, yes. But another aspect that he has been pointing out is that he doesn't really care about the fact of the system, or if we're going to play with 4 midfielders or with 3 strikers. He's more concerned about the idea and the way of playing. He says that the things are not going to change at all, even if Barça plays with 4 midfielders or with 2 wingers and a number 9, like a traditional 4-3-3. So for him, the important thing is the way of playing, the idea, and not at all the system, or if the team are playing with 3 or 4 midfielders.
Bruno, I want to ask your opinion, because we were asking the fans. I asked Spencer as well. I gave my take as well. Who do you think is going to fill the Pedri and Gavi spots tomorrow?
For me, and after what I saw last weekend in the league against Cádiz, I will give the chance to Ferran to start tomorrow. In the end, the game is really long. You play 90 minutes. There is a possible extra time. I will start with Ferran tomorrow in a 4-3-3 with Kessie, Sergio and De Jong probably midfield. This is a kind of a strong midfield with physical players. I lack a bit of talent there probably, but you have, for me, that's why you have to compensate it with 3 strikers up front. And if the game doesn't start as you expect, or things doesn't go as you want, then you always have the possibility to introduce substitutions. But for me, I will give the chance to Ferran to give him continuity after the incredible game he played against Cádiz.
I fully agree with you, Bruno. Just keep giving Ferran confidence after that strong performance as well. And I was mentioning to Spencer before, the fact that you would start with a 4-3-3 gives you the weapon of bringing on an extra midfielder if you need it, and play with 4 in the second half if you need it. Whereas if you start with the 4, then you don't have as many options.
I agree, but here's the thing about Ferran and Rafinha, who, if you go with Ferran, obviously Rafinha is going to be in that equation. Ferran was really good on the right side.
Yeah, that's true.
He was really
that's
good
true.
there. And I don't know if he's as effective playing on the opposite side, or if you put Rafinha onto that side too. It's just, I think both of them are better on the right. You can't put them both there.
But I do think it is more a thing of confidence than position with Ferran, and the fact that he came out and everything was going his way. He completed those 10 successful dribbles. He set up the first goal. He was a key contributor to that game, and was the MVP in the end. Gives him that extra
on his
morale.
right foot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
with crosses on his right foot. I don't know if he does that from the left.
Well, maybe he cuts in and takes the shot himself, which we've seen him do in the past as well. Bruno, we also heard from Jules Kounde, focusing, of course, on the defensive aspects of the game, talking about how this is all a collective effort. And Barça, of course, looking for this first clean sheet in Europe this season, which it's something that we haven't been able to achieve so far.
Yeah, exactly, because we talk a lot, of course, about the strikers, Lewandowski, Rashford, but the duel there between both defenses is also an interesting one. I mean, Varane against Kounde, two teammates from the French national side. Not anymore for Varane, who announced that he's retiring for the French national side a month ago. First time for Jules Kounde here in this beautiful stadium of Old Trafford. He was impressed. We are seeing how it's raining, this soft rain that, well, Robert, of course, we are used to this England weather. But for Kounde, the importance also in this defensive aspect, the way to play really with intensity, and also the fact to stop Rashford. There have been, of course, many questions, especially from all the media from the UK about Rashford. They say that, of course, he's a really good player, but they are also concerned about the whole block of United, because apart from Rashford, they have a lot of quality.
Let's stop and talk about Rashford a second, because he's scored 24 goals this season for Manchester United, but 16 of them have come since the break of the World Cup. That's 16 out of 24.
Yep.
That's 2/3 of his goals have come after the World Cup break, in which Manchester United have played 17 games and won 13 of them, 3 draws, 1 defeat. I want to ask the fans, and I want to ask you guys, after seeing, or after knowing those numbers, and after seeing his performance, especially in the second half of the Spotify Camp Nou, from 1 to 10, levels of concern with Marcus Rashford tomorrow. Bruno.
I will say 9, because he's showing an incredible level. He's the main weapon of United, a player has grown here in this academy. He knows really well this club. He feels the colours, and I mean, he's the key player of this United side. Everyone knows it. Supporters, the press here in Manchester, the project, this new project of Ten Hag, the key player is Marcus Rashford, and he's showing in this last months that he's, of course, at an incredible level. And yeah, we have to be concerned about Rashford. He scored against us at the Spotify Camp Nou. He also scored brace this weekend against Leeds United. So yeah, of course, the team has to be concerned.
A couple of answers from the
Leicester
live
City,
chat.
sorry, not Leeds.
Yes, a couple of answers from the live chat. Yanok says 9. DTN YT is not concerned at all, says 1. Sleepy YT says 10. Divine Amitev says 7. Danny Gold Channel says 7. Spencer Siegel says
10. He is your main priority, your main target, and someone's got to have an eye on him at all times. I'm very concerned. I want to make sure that he's covered, so that 10 by the end of the game does turn into a 1.
Bruno, Xavi also did talk about 2 players who Barca know very well, Rafael Varane and Casemiro. 2 players that I think Barca, I was talking to Spence about this before, Barca need to, especially with Casemiro, not let him get into their heads with the way he plays and the way he tackles.
Yeah, absolutely. There is the doubt who's going to play alongside Casemiro in these 2 defensive midfielders, the double pivot that we can expect. Fred did it really well the other day, but Savitzer is back after his suspension. We'll have to see if it's Fred or Savitzer the one playing alongside Casemiro. But of course, these big European games, 2 players, of course, like Casemiro and Varane, that have won many important trophies, and especially in Europe for Real Madrid. Well, this extra point of experience, Xavi mentioned that, of course, it's important to have in your squad players and winner players like Casemiro or Rafa Varane. Here in UK, everyone knows that these 2 players are also, apart from Rashford, that is the reference up front. We can say that Varane is the reference in defense and Casemiro the one in the midfield tasks. So it's going to be really important to try and to stop Casemiro, especially when he moves up front to help in attack. And at the same time in defense, important to see if he sees a yellow card early, because if not, it's also sometimes difficult for Barca players when they have to attack against Casemiro, because he's also a really good defender. But yes, everything focused many eyes on these 2 players, Casemiro and Varane, because they are 2 top players. Manchester United paid a lot of money to sign both of them, and yeah, they are showing this season for United that are also important pieces of this project.
We also want to talk about our players, of course, because obviously we're worried about the likes of Rashford. We talked about Varane, Casemiro, important players for them. But with the way that the injuries have gone and how Xavi has changed the lineup a bit around Spence, you do get that sense that there are more players involved now at a key moment in the season.
Yeah, and everybody seems to be hitting that stride. So as we get to the real moments of this game that count, anyone who gets that chance, I think, will be ready to take it, whether it's Kounde, Araujo on set pieces, if it's Kessié making a forward run in the box, if he gets the opportunity to play, if it's Frankie where he gets to shoot, from outside the box, I think he's very capable. Obviously, Lewandowski's going to be ready. We don't have to worry about him. But everyone seems to be in that moment where if they get the opportunity, they're going to strike.
Yeah, and in a game like this one, I'm just thinking of how Barca have had success in La Liga, and I mean, the main idea is keep things tight at the back and take your opportunities up front. And in that sense, obviously, it's key for the defence to be solid, to stay and to come up big in important moments. And Bruno, for Rafinha and Lewandowski, Rafinha to produce a performance like the one he produced last week against Manchester United, and for Lewandowski to capitalise on his opportunities.
Absolutely, Robert. I mean, Lewandowski has to be one of the key players tomorrow for sure. He's playing for his first ever time here at Old Trafford. I'm sure he's going to be motivated. I don't have, I think, to remember his registers in Europe because are absolutely incredible, all the goals that he has scored in European games. And it's true that in recent weeks, as he was suspended in the league, he also hasn't been scoring too many goals as he did in the first part of the season. We haven't been talking at all about Lewandowski, but tomorrow we talk a lot about Rashford, of course, but Lewandowski is one of the best strikers in the world, and for sure has to be important. Scoring goals tomorrow in this match.
That was one impressive Rafinha performance, especially in the second half last week.
Yeah, and he seems to be growing with confidence each week, and that's what we're talking about.
It's what happens when you get regular starts as well.
Yeah, and it's why we've seen other players struggle at times because they haven't had regular starts, whether it's Ansu or Ferran. But as those starts come, the confidence comes with it. And you talk about Lewandowski, he's got the regular starts now too, because as Bruno just mentioned, he's been out suspended for 3 games in the league as of a couple of weeks ago, and now he's finally back and in rhythm. And you saw he only needed 1/2 of a second to make a difference in the Cádiz game, and he scored a goal that none of us really saw coming.
Bruno, have you had a chance to get what the vibes are around the city of Manchester? From what we know, Old Trafford is there's always a great atmosphere there. Barca won't be alone. We've just said that there's going to be about 2,500 fans there, close to 3,000 Barca fans there, so the team won't be alone. But of course, the atmosphere is going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. You know really well this country, and you know that Manchester is probably the capital of football, with Liverpool here in the north of England. And the atmosphere of the city, for everyone, this is a big, big game. And everyone talks about football, everyone knows about football. We can say that United supporters here in the city are a bit higher than Manchester City. That is a club that, recently has started being at the top of Europe. But this is a city where you smell football. Everyone is waiting for this big clash. Everyone also talks a lot about the really good game that we experienced at the Spotify Camp Nou. So, I mean, it's going to be a thriller tomorrow here at Old Trafford. It's going to be full, 76,000 spectators. And also, as you mentioned, many people is going to come from Barcelona as one of the important European trips for many fans. It's also going to be their first time here at Old Trafford. And it's always a good excuse, a Thursday afternoon, to come here to Manchester, enjoy an incredible football game, and also enjoy a weekend of leisure here in England, because one of the only good points I will say from the Europa League is the fact for the fans to be playing on Thursday. You take your Friday off and you can spend a weekend in a good European city.
Have a long weekend. Jules Kounde talked about the extra pressure of playing in Europe, and I liked his response. He said, yes, of course there's pressure, but it's not negative. And what Barca have been accused of in the last few years is of succumbing to that pressure, and Xavi mentioned it as well. Now we need to go out and prove it tomorrow, Bruno.
Yes, absolutely. You have to prove it. I will say point of pressure, the test that Xavi has been mentioning many times during the press conference. The fact to try to be back in Europe, Xavi said, I mean, we are in the Europa League, we have to accept our situation in Europe, but we have to go step by step. This project is starting, but of course the opportunity tomorrow, it's a massive one. It's the game that everyone wants to see between, we always said it, two historic clubs, but also two of the biggest brands in the world, United and Barça, in terms of sponsors, shirts, and everything. So, guys, I have to leave you here from Old Trafford because now it's time to leave for all the press. We will keep in contact for tomorrow. It's going to be a massive and a good one. So, well, that's all from here, and we are all really excited for this game that is going to be played in less than 24 hours.
Thank you very much, Bruno. We'll talk to you tomorrow and hopefully we'll celebrate a win together. That was the first 50 minutes of Barca's training session preparing for tomorrow's clash at Old Trafford against Manchester United. We're just over 24 hours away, Spence. It's going to be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling a little bit of nerves now, but once that whistle blows and the game starts, the nerves kind of go away, and I think that same thing happens to the players.
I do kind of hope that it's a game like the one last week, which I watched as a fan. I wasn't here with you guys last week. It's one of those that I didn't want it to end. It was so entertaining.
We could have played another 90 minutes on that day, I think, and nobody would have complained.
No.
But here we are. We're going to get them now.
Right, before we leave, we have the words of Jules Kounde and Xavi Hernandez talking to our colleague from Barça TV, Marc Brau. So let's start with what Jules Kounde had to say.
Bueno, antes que nada, tú habías estado en este campo, has jugado aquí.
You've played. Have you played here before? Did you know it? No, it's the first time for me. It's spectacular. It's one of the most historic stadiums. You guys are very excited. You know that a loss means you're out of the Europa League. Yeah, we're ambitious. We're excited to win, like we did in the first leg. With the same ambition, we'll need to take one step forward in terms of our style of play. Will tomorrow be a good test to show that this team can also compete at the highest level? Yeah, it's a big challenge for us. Even though it's the Europa League, we're playing against a big opponent. It's a big challenge for us. They have an incredible front line. Rashford is on fire. I'm sure it's a challenge for you to minimize his effectiveness. Yeah, the defensive efforts have been key for our success. It has been so in La Liga. We know we need to improve certain aspects. We haven't conceded a lot, but we're ambitious, but knowing that this is a big challenge. You said it well. This is a game that all players want to play, despite it not being the Champions League. Yeah, we're very excited. We want to win this competition. We're ambitious and excited. And winning this game tomorrow would be added motivation for us.
The words there of Jules Kounde talking about how the team needs to be ambitious tomorrow. There was a thing as well. Last week, we did see the defence make a few little mistakes there, but I got the feeling that those were mistakes that happened like on the day. They weren't a systematic thing. They weren't a problem that's ongoing.
No, there's nothing that's been systematically wrong with Barca's defence. It's the best defence arguably in all of Europe right now, the way that they're playing.
In La Liga, yeah.
I mean, in La Liga for sure. And, you know, you just hope that they can put up a couple of clean sheets here and there. In the Europa League, they'll have that chance tomorrow. And Ter Stegen got beat at his near post by Rashford, and the whole game changed after that. But in general, yeah, they're following the right path.
It won't happen tomorrow. Right, let's hear from Xavi Hernandez, also talking to our colleague Marc Brau.
Atents ja aquí a Barça TV. Com estàs, Xavi? Què tal? Bona tarda.
Molt bé, bona tarda.
How are you? Good evening. We're here in a great stadium, great game for a game of football. Yes, tomorrow we expect an incredible game. This stadium is marvelous. We expect a good atmosphere. We come in good form, and surely we'll see a good game. We want the ball to be ours, so it won't be easy. They're in their best form this season. They're one of the best clubs in Europe at this point. We want to win the Europa League. We're motivated. We're excited to compete and compete well. And like I said, we want to win. Do you expect any changes? I think it will be similar to the first leg. They play at home. They might press a little harder. They'll press. If we can't match that high press, it'll be difficult for us. We expect an intense game, electric, with a lot of passion. You'll see one of the best games in Europe, in my opinion. Do you have an idea how to fill the players that won't be able to play? Yeah, I have an idea. The style play will be the same. The football players will change. Pedri and Xavi are out, who are important for us, but we have good substitutes to fill the void and advance to the next stage. Could be a big game tomorrow. The stage is perfect. We want to win. We're in good form, good results. But tomorrow is a big test. You made your debut with Barça in Europe right here. What are your memories of that game? Here, I was right here, standing right here. I think it was the 70th minute or 80th. I was nervous. It was the 3-0. Nicky Butt was sent off. We could have won, but it was a level playing field that day. The passion was incredible. I remember it very well. You have a great memory.
You can say your point of view for what do you expect for tomorrow's game?
Well, from my point of view, a difficult game, of course. It's a very tough stadium, amazing environment, with passion, with rhythm, with intensity, but we are excited. We are excited to compete. We are ready to compete well, and hopefully we can show our best level.
Gràcies, Xavi, que hagi molta sort. Bé, doncs, Xavi Hernandez.
We also hope that Barca can show their best level as well. Xavi talking from the stadium in which he made his European debut. Very good memory, Xavi Hernandez, of that 3-3 draw back in 1998. And Xavi Hernandez, Spence, that I think wants, for once and for all, prove that Barca's woes in Europe are a thing of the past.
Yeah, my favorite responses, the ones where he's got everything out there in the open, he's truthful, he's honest, he's clear, and he's talking about that 98 game really showed that. And as he said, he's got an idea of what he wants to do tomorrow. He knows, so let's just wait and see.
Not even the players know what the lineup is going to be tomorrow. We'll have to wonder until tomorrow, about an hour and a half before the game. We'll probably know what the starting 11 will be. Obviously, with those Pedri, Xavi, and Dembele absences. In spite of that, we hope that Barca can compete and go through to the next round of the Europa League. Spence, we'll be here tomorrow, 1 hour before the game.
I can't wait. Let's go, let's do this.
We'll be coming live to you on YouTube, Facebook, and Barca TV+. Don't miss it. It's going to be an absolute thriller. I'll see you tomorrow, Spence.
All right.
And I'll see you fans also tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in about 24 hours.